Hello friends, welcome to the channel. Bob here, and this is Lost Ark. I've been playing the game now for about 4 days, and I thought I would just give you just an overview on the game itself, how I'm finding it. As a new player, I'm an absolute newbie for Lost Ark, but also I guess like a more modern MMOs. Like New World is the first modern MMO I've played for years. Really, I generally play emulated classic MMOs like EverQuest on emulated servers, or I play kind of like indie MMOs that are trying to recreate a more classic experience from the late 90s. So I'm kind of new to Lost Ark, but also new to this type of MMO, I guess. I think that's probably a fair thing to say. What I'm going to do is split my impressions into 2 videos. So the first video is going to be about the game systems and mechanics outside of combat. Then I'll kind of do another probably shorter video on the combat itself. So this is not going to be like a class tier list, or there's going to be nothing here probably that you don't already know if you've been playing the game. But it's just the impressions of a brand new player and how I'm finding it and whether I'm going to invest in it or not. I guess that's probably the thing that, when we try something out, that's the important thing. Do we want to get into it and maybe drop some money on it? So, first of all, I'll just talk quickly about the visuals and the audio. I don't want to get into it too much. This is my dude. I've got a number of dudes and dudesses that I've been playing. And it looks beautiful. I think it's still running DirectX 9. I'm not sure. I sure saw like a DirectX 11 thing somewhere. So I'm not sure if there's a choice. I didn't see it in the graphical options, I have to say. But it looks great. It's not top of the range, but it's good enough. The models are nice and the environments are nice. I think it's probably what you would expect for this type of game running on this type of engine. The game is quite a few years old now. Amazingly, we just haven't had it. We just haven't had a proper release in EU. The engine is quite old. And the audio again is great. It's really, really good. When you're running around the sections, you get people like talk. You'll get people talking. There's lots of kind of like atmospheric background sounds going on. So people talking. When you're running around in wilderness, you'll hear stuff going on in your headphones, birds tweeting and all that kind of stuff. So really, really nice. All of the attack sounds have all got some nice meaty sounds to them. So from a looks and audio point of view, it's great, and it perfectly does the job. I'll scroll out so you can see a bit more of the environments around me. There we go. This is in the first town, Leonhardt, however you want to pronounce it. This is kind of like the starter town, I would say. And I think the first thing I want to talk about is just some of the mechanics of like modern MMOs that I'm not used to. So there's quite a lot of stuff that happens like account-wide. So what I've noticed, for example, when I'm running around with various characters, like if my first character there are certain quests, for example, where if my first character did them, they're not available again, or you don't need to do them again. So, for example, there's a quest to get a pet, and once one of your characters does it, all of your new subsequent characters then have the pet, so you get it at level 1, basically. There's other stuff like legacy level. So I kind of thought legacy. Obviously, the word legacy kind of makes sense when you think about it. But legacy level is account wide, and what legacy does is it gives you just some stat increases and stuff, and hit point increases and whatnot. But this is account wide, so whatever the highest legacy level is for one of your characters, all of your other characters have that legacy level. So if I started a level 1 character, so if I started a new character, their legacy level will be 25, I believe. So that's quite nice, because it means that any new alts that you start, I've got kind of like a little buff for them. They're a bit stronger than a level 1 legacy character. So all that stuff's quite interesting, and stuff that I've never really experienced in an MMO before, but I quite like it. Combat level is generally your kind of like character skills level, basically. So if we go to skills, as you go up in your combat level, you unlock new skills, and you get skill points to put into skills to increase their effectiveness, basically. So that's how that works. Yeah, so that's quite interesting, and there's lots of other stuff like that as well that I just haven't encountered yet. But yeah, I find that that part of it quite interesting. There's First of all, there's so much to go through, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some stuff. But from a content point of view, it's crazy. What I'll talk about first of all is a couple of things that came up in the stream I did recently, and that's like the immersion, taking into account. This is more talking about like the perspective that you've got, like this kind of Diablo perspective of the game, this kind of zoomed out, the kind of look down view, and also the size of kind of the maps you're running around. So that's the first thing that I'll cover. I mean, it's weird. Like I haven't played a game like this since Diablo 3, and it's essentially, I think it's partly because I just moved over to playing more first-person and third-person games. I just RPGs. I just found them more immersive, basically. So things like is it playing what's it games like PoE, those kind of games? I just completely glossed over them. I didn't play them at all. And it was kind of because of the perspective, and it's like as I've gotten older, I kind of really appreciate being immersed in a world, and and you kind of I guess you kind of get a bit tunnel visioned by certain things. And I thought to myself, well, you can only really do that in a first-person game, third person at the most. But this kind of perspective of your viewpoint, which is something that when I saw a game like this, I immediately just dismissed it. And I must confess that when I first saw Lost Ark, I did the same thing. And as I've kind of gone along in the game, I've kind of become more and more immersed, and I've found that although I think there is some value to the viewpoint that I had before, it's got like an immersion level of its own. But I still do feel like that in some ways, because it's from first or third person, you can kind of look into the distance and see something in an MMO particularly, or an open world RPG, and you can kind of go there. With this sort of perspective, you don't have that horizon. You don't have that horizon to look at in a distance and then say, I'm going to go and explore that. And that's fine, because obviously you wouldn't have. And this is just a different type of game. It's a different type of perspective, and it's trying to do something that, I say it's trying to do something new. It's not really, because we've had games like Diablo and that kind of thing, but it's offering you a different option, basically, for immersion. And I have to say that when I first started playing it, I was thinking, I just can't get into this. But the more I've played it, the more I have got into it, and I've changed my mind a bit. I'm enjoying it more, and I do feel quite immersed in the world. A lot of that is to do with some of the locations you go to. You get like the locations start off quite nice, but it doesn't take long for you. It doesn't take you don't need to go into the game particularly far to find your more, I guess, traditional RPG environments that I like. That's just how it is. But yeah, so immersion was something that I was worried about first of all, and I must admit, the more I've played it, the more immersive I've become. The other thing that we spoke about in the stream was like what is an MMO? What makes an MMO? And again, I must confess, my feelings about what an MMO was quite traditional. So like WoW was an MMO, EverQuest was an MMO, but Destiny wasn't an MMO. I remember when Destiny came out and people said, "Oh, it's this new MMO come out, you should try it." And I looked at it and I was like, well, that's not an MMO, that's an RPG. But but these things change, and the definition of MMO now is very different. Essentially, it means anything, I think, that's online and is massively multiplayer, where you've got a lot of people playing at the same time on the same server. I think that's probably a more modern kind of interpretation of MMO. But I was more of a kind of a traditionalist before, and I think it was something to do with perspective as well. Like the perspective of the game made it feel less MMO-y to me. And someone in the stream said that they didn't feel it looked like an MMO, because to them an MMO was a game where there's lots of people running around. So I've kind of brought you to this part to look at, because you see there are lots of people coming and going here. I mean, this is like, I've heard kind of people say, like before I started playing it, I probably felt the same way. People saying it's just a Diablo with a few more people around, and it's not really an MMO. But I have to say that it really is an MMO. You know, it really does tick all the boxes of MMORPG. And I've just brought you to this bit here because there's loads of people coming and going. You know, and if you like your MMOs to be populated, then I mean, this is off peak as well. I mean, I was playing. I think Russia, I think depending when you are in Russia, I think Moscow, for example, is a couple of hours ahead, 2 or 3 hours ahead of the UK. And I was playing in the afternoon a couple of days ago, UK time, which would have been like early evening time in Russia. And yeah, there was loads of people around. I mean, I actually couldn't do, it was difficult to do, you know, back in EverQuest days where you're running around trying to kill your last rat so you can complete, or whatever it was, or World of Warcraft trying to kill your last rat to complete a quest. It was a bit like that here. I was having to run around to find mobs so I could complete quests because there were so many people around killing them. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely an MMO, and I think calling it Diablo multiplayer is doing it a disservice. And it's got all of the trappings of MMO of an MMO as well. It's got raids, you know, gathering, crafting, anything you would expect to see in an MMO, you're going to see in this game. And I've only really just like, I mean, I'm still overwhelmed by all the systems. I only just started. Yeah, I've been playing for a few days and I'm still completely overwhelmed by most of the systems, but I'll get there in the end. What's interesting about this, I find, is that I went really hard on New World until Christmas, but then I just ran out. I didn't run out of things to do, but everything I did was just repeating the same 3 or 4 things over and over again. And I think that's why I think that's one of the things that kind of put me off playing new MMOs when they're released. I used to love a new MMO release up until Warcraft, but since then the problem is that there's just no content. A New World is a new MMO with no content. But what I like about Lost Ark is that it's a new MMO for us, but it's not for Korea, where I think it first came out. Was it 4 or 5 years old now? Maybe 4 years. So we've got 4 years worth of content to go through. Yeah, so that's a great thing about it. Like, for me, it's new and fresh, and I've never played it before, and I've never played this type of MMO before. And I know that for quite a period of time, I'm not going to run out of content. You know, that's the great thing about it. It's not going to be another New World. Well, it doesn't seem as though it's going to be anyway. Yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to address those points. Yeah, that we spoke about on the stream previously. There is so much to go through here. You've got mounts, of which I've got one at the moment. You've got pets. Pets kind of, I'm not sure if pets do anything later on in the game, but at the moment they generally collect your loot. What they do have is some other like special abilities and stuff. I think my pet currently gives me a passive bonus to like defense and stuff. I'm not sure. I've seen people with different pets. So as you can see here, there's someone with a bird. I'm not sure if a different pet gives you different like passive bonuses, but yeah, it's got all that kind of thing. It's got your traditional character building as well. Most of it I'm still really I'm really like a newbie on, but you've got your skills, and you've got these things called tripods, because there's 3 different options you can choose, going down different tiers, and these things really change your character. I'll talk about it more in the combat video, but yeah, these things really do have an impact on your character building. So you've got that. So as you go up in combat, in your combat level, you get points to spend on increasing skills. Yeah, it's like perks, I guess. You know, you use skill points on these tripods, they call them, to improve or change the skill a little bit, which is really, really nice. There's other things as well, like if I come here, there's a load of stuff I'm not sure about here. Avatar and tendency. You've got engravings. Engravings are stuff that you seem to get on jewellery, and that also gives you, I think generally they're passive buffs that can change your, it's another path of character progression, basically, to make your character better. Tripod gems, I've got no idea what they are at the moment, I have to say. Card decks, you get these cards. I'm not sure if I've got my card. I'm not sure where my card deck is. But you get these cards that you find of characters that you meet and you kill and stuff, I think. And what you can do with those is you create like a deck, and the card set effects. So you create a deck, and the deck has effects like passive bonuses. So it might increase this or give you more of this or whatever it may be. So there seems to be quite a lot of way of increasing your characters. Your characters. There's quite a lot. Character progression seems quite wide in scope, quite complicated as well, I have to say. I watched a video of someone talking about engravings and tripods and stuff, and I need to watch it again, I think, probably. So I was like, I was a bit lost, but I'll kind of get there in the end. And your equipment's got bonuses and stuff on as well. I think later on it says there no item tripods. I think later on your equipment gets tripods on as well, which will increase your skill power and what have you. So yeah, lots of different ways of increasing your character by progressing your character. I'll click on this and just cover this quite quickly. I quite like this. You've got these things here. At first, the game was giving me intelligence, and I was looking at my information and saying, well, where's intelligence? Like, what's that for? And I realised you've got these things here. So wisdom. You get intellect points, so my wisdom is currently 9. And it tells you that wisdom will help you solve the most difficult dilemmas. The wiser you are, the more convincing your words and actions. So I'm kind of hoping that at some point these are used in conversation to influence a character. Or maybe you get different chat options when you're talking to an NPC. That would be quite interesting. So you've got this stuff going on as well, which I quite like the looks of. But there's a load of systems that I'm not familiar with, and I'm really just trying to absorb it all at the moment. It's kind of why I played the Russian version for a short period of time, just to give myself, just to kind of orientate myself in the game a bit, to see where I'm going. And I'm kind of sure that I think I'm fairly sure on what I'm doing now. What I'll do is we'll move location, because I want to show you something really, really cool. We're going to go, I think I'm currently in Border. I've just got a dungeon to go into, so we will teleport to here. So when each class teleports, they play, you have to play a song to teleport basically, and depending on the class you might get a different instrument. So I'm not sure if this character might have a horn, but one of my characters had an electric guitar. Yes, it's a horn. I thought that was quite cool. But I think, one of my characters had an electric guitar, which I thought was really, really funny. That was really, really cool. The game's got a million and one different, really nice little touches, basically that you go, oh, that's really nice. So this is, I guess, what you would expect to be a more traditional, MMO RPG environment. It does feel very. Very like Diablo. I'm kind of finding it a mixture of like Diablo and Ultra Online at the moment, believe it or not, because there's some systems here that do really remind me of Ultra Online, and some of them I haven't even unlocked yet. Like things I'm looking forward to. Like I've heard that you got mounts. Let's go to the world map. I've heard that there's like sailing, so you can sail in boats, which seems really amazing. The size of the world is huge. Like I've mostly operated in this area at the moment, on this continent, or this island, whatever you want to call it. But there's all these other areas as well. I'm looking forward to going up to the northern cold peaks up here. I see ship. So this thing called ship stability, and I think I briefly saw a video where the people were sailing around in their ships and stuff. But you've got all these other areas to explore as well. So, yeah, this is what I mean about an MMO that's got years of content. It just means that you're going to struggle to run out of stuff to do. You've got these areas as well that don't seem to be accessible at the moment. I'm not sure if they unlock... So, like, South Limb Lake and North Limb Lake are not highlighted, although they are named. So I'm not sure... so Curzan also you can't highlight, so maybe you get to these points by arriving at these and doing a quest or something. That would be interesting. But there's a ton of landmass to explore, but also you've got these areas as well. Like I heard someone talking about island quests. yeah, which seem really interesting as well. There's all these points of interest that I'm really looking forward to going and having a look at. Strait of Dead, level 2. Yeah, so exploration's going to be pretty amazing as well. There's also things where like quests unlock things. So if you, I think there are certain raids and dungeons and stuff at end game where if you skip certain quests, you might not have those available at end game. Things like daily quests and weekly quests, some of those might not be available if you don't do some of these activities. So yeah, I mean, like for my first playthrough, my first character, I plan on trying to do everything essentially in each area. And that will move me on to no, let's just cover the maps thing again as well. The one thing that I was going to say I was disappointed about, but it's difficult to be disappointed because that's just how a game with this perspective is. But the maps are quite linear. And I've looked at some other videos to more like a lot more veteran players who have been playing it from the start, and they say that's generally how it is. So these areas that you operate in do get bigger, but they're still quite linear. So all of the areas that I've gone through so far, and I have done, I have moved on to another part of this continent as well. You generally start at the point you enter, and then you work your way through, and the quests take you through the area. It's quite nice in the sense that, you know, the questing in the game really respects your time. So it doesn't say, right, there's a quest here, go up here, then come back again, then go here, then go back up here, then come back again. It doesn't do that. You might get a quest here and do it here, but you don't need to generally go back to the person that gave you the quest. You go on to another NPC, and they lead you through the area. Yeah, and that's how that's how a game with this perspective is, and it's fine. As I said, I've actually seen some areas that are twice as big as this, and maybe there are some areas later on in the game that are even bigger than that. But that was one of the things that I was thinking, oh, you know, it doesn't. Again, like going back to the whole what's an MMO, you know, I'm kind of stuck in this thing where a big zone is an MMO and you run around and you explore stuff. And this game's still got that. It's still got areas to explore and secrets to find and collectibles to find. It's just a different viewpoint. So so depending on your point of view, you're maybe slightly losing the immersiveness of looking out from your eyes into this zone. I mean, if you kind of imagine, if we was playing in first person, you would get a completely different feel for this. You know, if you were standing here and you could maybe see across to some of the other areas, it would feel different, just purely because of your viewpoint. So yeah, that's the thing where at first I was kind of like, oh, it's disappointing. It doesn't feel very MMO-y, but you know, that's just down to the viewpoint. That's generally, that's life, right? What you're going to do. So yeah, let's move on to like questing and story. So the game the game is very quest heavy. There's lots of different quests: main quests, side quests, island quests, personal quests for certain NPCs. So you kind of increase your favour or faction level with them, whatever you want to call it. There's all sorts of different types of quests to do. When you get to the end game, you've got raids, dungeons, different levels of raids, different levels of dungeons. You've got daily quests, weekly quests, all sorts of stuff going on. But it is story driven, you know, and like a lot of the time when you come into an NPC, they will talk to you, and the characters are voiced, and there's quite a bit of dialogue to read. I do hope for the EU version they've got they've got the acting right. I mean, I've really enjoyed listening to the Russian characters. The Russian language is quite musical. It's quite a beautiful language. And yeah, I've quite enjoyed just listening to the language and reading the text. But I do hope they've got the acting and the dialogue right for the EU stuff. There's nothing to break immersion, and you walk up to a character. And I know that I'm probably being an old fuddy-duddy here. And maybe I'm being a bit British, you know. But there's nothing worse than walking up to a character in an RPG set in what appears to be like a medievally fantasy land, and you get this accent come out. And it's like, oh, God, you know, that's immersion 0. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm being xenophobic, but whatever. Yeah, I hope they've got... I love accents, British accents, European accents, American accents, all accents. But for me personally, I just feel that certain accents don't work in a what you would call like a medieval fantasy game. And at the very least, I hope the acting's good. That's the thing that I'm hoping for. Yeah, but as I said, there's ship riding, there's gathering, resource gathering, crafting. There's an upgrade system for your equipment. So if you've got a piece of equipment you can you can upgrade it. There's also this thing which I haven't unlocked the screen yet, but I saw it that seemed really interesting. It's called, I'm not sure what it's called. I can't remember the name. I haven't unlocked it yet, so I can't show you the window. But you basically, if you get a piece of equipment that you like, but it's lower level than something you've got, I think you can merge them. So the level from the piece of equipment that you're using merges onto the piece of equipment that you like and you want to use, so you can then use that piece of equipment. I can't remember what it's called, look it up, but I think generally seems to be how it works. So there's also lots of ways of increasing your equipment, progressing your equipment as well as your character. You know, your character's got all of the usual slots you would find, loads of jewellery slots, some slots I'm not even sure, ability stone, I've got no idea what that is. Engravings, again, I haven't unlocked them, so I've got no idea what it is. But special equipment down here. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. And for those of you who like housing, let's talk about housing. I haven't unlocked it again yet, so I can't show you, but I've watched some videos. Like, Lost Ark doesn't have a housing system, it has an island system. So you get your own island, basically. And you can employ people, I think, to like work on the island. You put up structures. It's kind of like a bit like a mini civilization game all of its own, and you can get resources from your island, I think, and or your estate as they call it, and all that kind of stuff. There's so much to it that I don't even really know about, but yeah, if you're into your housing, then maybe that might be something that you like. I'm not sure. I know you can put structures and stuff down. You can put like a main building down. I'm not sure if you can then go into it and decorate it. That's something I'm not sure about, but if that's something that is a deal breaker for you, then yeah, go and check that out. It's got guilds and all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that I'll bring this video to a close. There's so many other systems that I haven't spoken about, but I haven't unlocked them yet. You know, I'm just trying to absorb the stuff that I have unlocked at the moment, which is quite enough. Yeah, but yeah, I just want to be impressed that my opinions coming into it were probably a bit old-fashioned with regards to MMOs. But I would definitely say that this is an MMO, and it's got everything in it that you could want from an MMO, and it's got a few years of content. The only thing that the only slight negative, and it's something that will change in the future, is that the painter class isn't in yet. I was getting some strong vibes from the painter class, but I think it's only just come out in Korea, so I guess hopefully we'll get it at some point. The other thing that is a slight disappointment is that I think that generally in these games, what they do with character, well, let me just log out so I can show you my character screen. Actually, that might be quite a good idea, so you can have a look at that. What you generally do in these games is certain classes are kind of gated off by gender, and I really would like more options on that sort of side of it. I mean, I've got some female characters, and I've got no problems with playing them. My bard is my favourite class, and that's the highest level one that I've played so far. But I would like the option to do something else. So like, you got like sorcerer. So I would kind of like to play more of like a Gandalf-y type character if I could, instead of the option that you get for the painter class. I would kind of like to play more of like a Rembrandt rather than playing, just having the options do it, essentially, just from a role-playing aspect, really. You know, it just not the fact that I mean I quite like I guess the sorceress is not too much of a thing, because I'm hoping that later on I quite like the whole witchy feel, so I'm hoping I can make it look like a witch later on. The other thing, like going back to the visuals thing, the other thing that I find from a visual point of view is that I don't really like these characters. Like another thing that I forgot to mention that we spoke about in the stream was connecting with your character, and I kind of find it quite hard to connect with characters that don't have any flaws. You know, I understand that people who play MMOs from Korea or Japan or wherever it may be, that they like this type of aesthetic in their characters, and that's fine. I'm not saying it should be changed, but just me personally, I find like even the men, I find the characters that are just so perfectly designed that some bald fat old bloke like me kind of finds it just difficult to kind of like get into the character. But that actually wore off the more I played the game. You know, I guess because it's a third person perspective, you don't really see, unless you zoom in, you don't see a super close up of your character. What I'm hoping for is there's just more options to make my character look a bit more flawed. You can make them look a bit older, but I would rather there was a few more options to make them look a bit more, I don't know, yeah, a bit more flawed, a bit more, you know, journey weary or just weather worn, that kind of thing. But I guess, you know, maybe this is just what people like in this type of game, and yeah, that's fine. But I just had trouble connecting with the characters that look so perfect. But that did wear off as time went on, and I did find myself getting into the characters because although when you're leveling up and going through the combat leveling process, the characters can feel quite samey. All of the abilities, the way that you fight, so you gather up mobs and you blow them up basically, but all of I'll cover this more in the next video, but all of the characters, all of the classes' abilities have a very different look and feel to them, and that's kind of what I was getting into. You know, more of the abilities were drawing me into the class rather than the actual model itself, you know, the graphical representation. But that's it. A lot of people have said this game is pay to win. I can't say whether it is or not. You know, it depends on how you personally feel about it. But the only thing I'll say about it is that I did look into it a little bit, and I watched a video of, is it Siwo or Siwo, who seems to be a popular YouTuber for Lost Ark, been playing for a few years. And he went around asking veteran players what their one regret was. And a couple of them said, the one regret I have is spending all the money that I spent on the game because I didn't need to. So I don't know. Maybe that tells you. One person actually said, I regret spending all the money because I was just impatient and I wanted everything at the start rather than just playing through the game. So I think maybe that gives you some sort of indication. I think there are things in the game that do boost you or improve your performance in the game, but there's nothing that you can't get from playing the game through, it seems. Yeah, so that's what I took away from that. You know, it's this person literally said, I wish I hadn't spent all the money because, and the only reason I spent it because I wanted everything. I was impatient. I wanted everything at the start. You know, so take for that what you will. I don't know. You make up your own decisions on that. I'm one of those people who I worry about stores because of the way they're implemented and because of the psychology behind them. We've actually got like leaked videos of people talking about how they, like game companies like Electronic Arts and stuff, talking about how they can basically fleece as much money out of people as they can. So I don't care I don't care about it from a gameplay point of view. I don't care if I play the game with someone, or I don't know if I play the game and someone else is playing it and they buy something from the store and it means they get to level 50 twice as fast as I do. I don't care. You know, that's not what I worry about with stores. The thing I worry about with stores and loot boxes and stuff are the addictive nature of them and the way that this affects people. Yeah, and you can be, you know, unempathetic and say, oh, well, these people should be more, you know, strong-willed or whatever it may be. But there are people that are just built that way and they get addicted to these kind of things. And there are games companies out there that have got whole teams trying to design a way to exploit these people. Look at Shroud of the Avatar. That's a perfect example of this kind of thing. Yeah, but that's like, as I said, that kind of thing does bother me from a gameplay point of view. It does bother me from a you know, exploitative point of view. But anyway, that's it. I've covered some of the systems. I guess what I should end the video on is say that I've pre-ordered the game. So just so that I can start early. It's coming out on the 11th, but if you pre-order it, if you just buy the bronze pack, basically. I didn't buy the bronze pack, but if you buy the bronze pack, then you can start. There's like a 3-day early access thing. That's how much I'm looking forward to playing it. I mean, I guess I should have done a TLDR version at the end. Is that I've played it enough now to know that I love it. Basically, I'm really enjoying it, and so I've actually you can play for free. You know, you can download it for free. You don't have to pay. Buying one of the packs just gives you early access and a few bonuses. But I like to buy games when I play them. I like to invest some money into them, so that's what I've done. Yeah, and I started off lukewarm. I was like, oh, I'm not feeling the immersion. I'm not connecting with my character. I don't feel immersed in the world so much. But yeah, as I move, and I've only touched the surface of, I've only scratched the surface really of what's available. But as I move through the game and did a bit more, then I just became engrossed in all the systems and all the things going on in my character, building my character, what I want to do in the future. So I want to sail, I want to get an island or an estate as they call them, mounts, pets, whatever, you know, collectibles like this. If you like collectibles, this game's, oh no, I've got to go back into the game because I forgot something. I'm sorry, I know this is a long video, but I've got to show you something else that I really like. I'll probably stop playing soon and give myself a few days off before release on the 8th for us, I'm assuming. The game's got this some other stuff, but I've got to show you my adventure book. Look at this. So basically each area, each continent has got go away. Has got this adventure book. So this is a list of all the things you've done on the continent. So collectibles, special cuisines. I haven't done any of that yet. I'm not sure if I have to learn cooking to do that. The game's got fishing in as well, by the way. Killing unique monsters. I've still got a few to kill. I'm going to try and 100% these when the game comes out. No, it's not worth me doing it now. I've got hidden stories to find, affinity completions, Triport Bifrost. No idea what that is. Dungeons to complete, main story quests. I think this might be account wide as well. So I think this is based on what all of your characters has done, or what your highest level character has done. But viewpoints to find. I've done all the dungeons. I've completed the main story quest, but I've still got stuff to do. And when you do it, you receive rewards, and you get these artifact and kind of legendary rewards later on. Emotes, growth potion. Oh yeah, so I can get a potion that increases one of my primary stats by 5. Charm potion, increase my charms. And I'm not sure if I can't select them yet. I'm assuming that these are the cards you get, by the way. I'm assuming that different continents have different rewards. I'm not sure what some of this stuff is for. But again, like if you like collectibles and if you like 100%ing stuff, and I'm really getting quite addicted to this kind of thing. A little bit because New World's got it, but a little bit. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to filling all this stuff in as well and finding all the viewpoints and stuff, killing all the monsters and whatnot. Yeah, field boss monsters. I don't think I've done any. Maybe I did this bloke. I'm not sure if the question mark means I've done it or not. But there's one that I haven't done yet. Yeah, so if you like collectibles and going around collecting stuff and 100%ing areas, this game's got you covered as well. Anyway, thanks for watching.